Hello, I'm Dr. James. If you're over 60 and still believe there are topics that no longer belong to you, perhaps it's time to rethink that notion. Not because someone told you so, but because there are truths that time doesn't erase. It simply pushes them into a corner, waiting for someone brave enough to bring them to light. There exists a quiet habit, often surrounded by shame and prejudice, that might be unfairly overlooked in your daily life. It's a simple, natural habit, capable of profoundly transforming your physical health, emotional state, and even your sexual vitality. I'm talking about masturbation, an intimate yet powerful gesture carrying real therapeutic potential, confirmed by research, and capable of being the key to stress relief, renewed desire, better sleep, and rediscovering the pleasure of life within your own body. Perhaps you've been ignoring the signals your own body has been sending, signals asking for reconnection, for freedom, for a little more self-attention. In this video, we'll openly address this topic, clearly, maturely, with truths no one dared to tell you, and which can truly impact how you age. Because aging isn't the end of pleasure. It's the beginning of a new relationship with your body, your feelings, and with life itself. At the end, we'll reveal a powerful and natural blend, a scientifically backed recipe, tested and recommended, used in regions where longevity is not just a statistic, but a way of life. It's a simple yet astonishing secret that can awaken what many believed had gone dormant. Now please write your age and where you're watching from in the comments. This helps spread this message to more people who also need to hear this truth. And your participation keeps this conversation alive. And don't keep this just for yourself. Send this video to friends and relatives over 60. What we're sharing here has the power to change lives, including your own. Let's begin. Number 1. Masturbation and desire in older age. There's a lie that has been repeated so many times that many have come to believe it, that desire disappears with age, as if aging completely erases a person's sexuality, or that the body, as it slows down, also loses its capacity to feel, to want, to seek pleasure. But the truth is quite different. Desire doesn't die. It simply changes. It ceases to be explosive and becomes quiet, ceases to be urgent and becomes subtle. It no longer shouts, but it still whispers. And whoever learns to hear this new tone discovers there is still much to be lived, to be felt, by touching and allowing oneself to be touched. Masturbation, in this new period of life, becomes a tool for preservation, a gesture of listening, a direct way to tell the nervous system, I'm still here. When this habit is practiced naturally and regularly, it protects the neural connections associated with pleasure, activates blood circulation in the pelvic area, and maintains sensitivity. A study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine analyzed men and women over 60 and concluded that regular masturbation is linked to the preservation of sexual function, improved genital sensitivity, and increased intimate satisfaction, even in individuals with significantly reduced hormone levels. This prevents the body from entering shutdown mode, that state of numbness that gradually takes hold in the absence of stimulation, in the absence of touch, when everything becomes forgotten and set aside. Moreover, masturbation is a path to reconnecting with your own sexual response, because over time, it's very common to start doubting whether you are still capable of feeling or to think that only another person can awaken something in you. But pleasure begins within you and must pass through you. This intimate gesture allows you to recognize your boundaries, rediscover sensitive zones, and notice reactions that were once automatic, but now require more time, more attention, more presence. It's not about replacing a partner, nor is it about isolation. It's about learning to touch yourself again, to respect yourself, to perceive yourself as someone who is still capable of feeling, capable of responding, capable of living pleasure fully, even with wrinkles, even with gray hair, even with thin skin, because desire doesn't disappear with age. It only asks that you be willing to find it again, right where it always was, within you. Number 2, impact on stress, anxiety, and mental health. Aging is not only a physical transformation, it is also an emotional journey. Life begins to move at a different pace. Commitments lessen, social interactions diminish, and many find themselves facing a new silence, a sense of loneliness. Along with this come racing thoughts, sleepless nights, anxieties without explanation, and gradually, stress begins to take over all available space. It is in this context that masturbation ceases to be merely pleasure and begins to fulfill a therapeutic role. During the act, the body releases a cascade of neurotransmitters, among them dopamine, endorphins, and oxytocin, which act directly on the central nervous system. The effect is immediate: relief of muscle tension, reduction of irritability, and a profound sense of physical and emotional well-being. This is not just a subjective sensation, it is measurable. A study published in the American Journal of Men's Health analyzed masturbation in older adults and concluded that it is directly linked to a reduction in anxiety symptoms, an improvement in quality of life, and greater emotional stability in older individuals. This calming, profound, and natural effect is one of the most accessible forms of emotional self-regulation. When this habit is practiced consciously and regularly, it can become a point of balance in daily life, a moment of meeting with oneself, of mental peace, of genuine relaxation. It's not about escaping. It's not an attempt to forget problems for a few minutes. It's the opposite: being fully in the moment, feeling your body, breathing slower, disconnecting from the constant noise of the world, and returning to yourself. And when this practice ceases to be approached with guilt and begins to be lived with maturity, it reveals its true power, a legitimate resource for emotional care that depends on no one but you. It's a safe space where the mind rests and the body gives thanks. Number 3, reconnecting with your own body. As time passes, many people begin to drift away from their own bodies. This doesn't happen suddenly. It's a slow, quiet process. First comes shame, then indifference, and then the feeling that what was once a source of pleasure and pride is now merely a reflection avoided in the mirror. The marks of time accumulate, the skin changes. The weight of societal judgment, comparisons, and the belief that this is no longer for me creates a chasm between you and your own skin. And when there is no longer touch, no gaze, no presence, the body begins to be perceived as something separate, a functional object, and nothing more. It is at this moment that masturbation can bring back something essential: connection, recognition, intimacy with oneself. Because when you touch yourself, it's not only the skin that responds, it's memory, feelings, and the life that still beats within. This intimate gesture, lived with awareness, allows you to re-inhabit your body with kindness, to explore without haste, to discover new paths to pleasure, new rhythms, new forms of sensation. Because sensitivity does change, but it doesn't disappear. It simply needs to be rediscovered. A study published in the Journal of Sexology showed that older adults who continue to practice self-stimulation demonstrate significantly higher levels of body acceptance, sexual self-esteem, and positive self-image. Touch, in this sense, is not merely physical, but an act of identity affirmation, a confirmation of belonging to yourself. It's not about vanity, nor is it about nostalgia. It's about reconnecting with what has always belonged to you, looking at your own body, even with the marks of time, and recognizing within it a life story, a journey of sensations, a presence that still deserves to be celebrated. Because the body ages, but the right to feel never ages. Number 4. Better sleep and deep relaxation. Good sleep is one of the first things age tries to take away. The body lies down, but doesn't slow down. The mind races, insists, repeats thoughts that won't quiet. And even when sleep finally arrives, it's light, interrupted, exhausting. In the morning, there's the feeling that the night didn't fulfill its purpose. This repeats night after night, and many accept this insomnia as an inevitable part of aging. But it doesn't have to be this way. Pleasure, experienced naturally, can become a powerful key to this quiet problem. Masturbation, especially in the evening, acts directly on the autonomic nervous system, inducing a physiological state of deep relaxation. After orgasm, there's an intense release of endorphins and prolactin, substances that lower the state of alertness and facilitate falling asleep. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine found that older adults who maintain sexual activity, including individual activity, report easier onset of sleep and better sleep quality compared to those who suppress or completely abandon this form of self-care. The body perceives pleasure as a signal of safety, and when it feels safe, it relaxes, breathing slows, muscles release tension, the mind calms, and sleep finally arrives, not as an escape, but as a natural consequence of a body that has felt cared for. This kind of relaxation doesn't come from a pill, nor from a technique. It comes from a simple, intimate, personal gesture, a gesture you can make without haste, at your own pace, in your own space. A gesture that, among other things, restores to the body a sense of completeness that no medication can provide. Good sleep shouldn't be another casualty of old age. Sometimes, the only thing missing is learning again the most ancient and natural way to restore peace, through pleasure, lived in peace without guilt and with awareness. Number 5. Real benefits for physical health. When it comes to masturbation, almost no one thinks about physical health. Most connect it only with pleasure, as if it were something separate from the body, something without consequences beyond the moment. But the truth is that this solitary and quiet gesture triggers profound reactions that go beyond intimacy and encompass the entire organism. During the act, a whole range of important physiological processes are activated in the body. Heart rate gently increases, circulation improves, and the endocrine system releases hormones that regulate mood, blood pressure, and even digestion. This is a legitimate form of internal movement. It's exercise without weight, without strain, but with visible effects. For older adults with limited mobility, joint pain, or physical limitations, this type of stimulation can represent a small but significant form of body activation. It's an impulse that initiates movement from within, even if the body no longer moves as it once did. And this goes beyond the momentary sensation. A study conducted by Northwestern University found that men over 60 who regularly engage in masturbation have a lower risk of developing prostate conditions, better blood flow in the pelvic area, and a lower incidence of urogenital pain, direct indicators of maintained vascular and hormonal function. In other words, far from being an insignificant gesture, this practice acts as a form of health maintenance. It helps protect internal organs, prevent circulatory stagnation, preserve sensitivity, and even prevent inflammation related to a lack of sexual activity. The body is made to feel, to function, to remain in motion, even if it's quiet, even if it's solitary. When it stops receiving stimuli, it begins to slow down from within. But when it is reminded that it is still needed, that it is touched, that it is still useful, it responds. And it is in this response that health lies, not what is reflected only in analyses, but a quiet, constant, deep health, one that is built gradually through intimate care and attentive listening to what the body still wants to say. Number 6. Intimate pleasure as self-care, not taboo. For decades, you were taught to hide, to deny your body, to suppress desire, to turn a natural gesture into a reason for guilt, shame, and silence. Masturbation, for many, was placed in the category of the dirty, the excessive, the forbidden, as if experiencing pleasure alone was a threat to morality. But now that you're over 60, perhaps it's time to reconsider all of this, to understand that what you were told before was ignorance, fear, suppression, and that in reality, touching your own body is an act of respect, health, and reconnection. Self-care in old age extends far beyond taking medication, getting tests, and taking walks around the block. It also lies in small rituals of presence, in moments of listening, in the quiet intimacy that no one sees, but you feel. Masturbation, when lived consciously, is exactly that. A way to tell yourself that you are important, that you are still alive, that you still have the right to feel. And this practice, which so many still view with prejudice, can be the beginning of a personal revolution. You don't need to flaunt it. You don't need to explain it. It's enough that it exists. It's enough that it becomes a quiet way of reconnection, care, and freedom. According to an analysis published in the Archives of Sexual Behavior, older adults who regularly experience intimate pleasure demonstrate higher levels of overall well-being, a lesser tendency towards loneliness, and a greater degree of acceptance of their own aging. This is not a trivial thing. It is central because accepting your body, even with its changes, means accepting your life. Reaching this point doesn't mean the story is over. It means that now it can be written with greater maturity, greater autonomy, and greater truth. And masturbation, far from being an end in itself, can be the tool through which you reclaim the central role in your own story. With love, with awareness, with dignity. And now, as promised, the natural aphrodisiac. You've made it to this point because you understand that aging doesn't mean giving up pleasure. To conclude this journey with the same truth it began, it's time to introduce a powerful combination, a natural, accessible, and scientifically backed recipe, capable of awakening desire, improving circulation, strengthening energy, and returning to the body what time has tried to silence. This blend is used in regions where longevity is accompanied by vitality and intimate connection until the very end of life. It's not a miracle, it's physiology. Write it down carefully. In a glass of warm plant-based milk, you can use oat or almond milk. Add 1 teaspoon of ground ginger. Ginger is a natural circulatory stimulant. It increases blood flow to intimate areas, activates metabolism, and promotes sexual response. Research shows that its regular consumption improves endothelial function and directly influences vitality in older age. Next, add 1 teaspoon of red Peruvian maca powder. Red maca is a root cultivated in the Andes and widely studied for its effects on sexual health. Clinical trials confirm that this specific variety helps boost desire, hormonal balance, and energy restoration, especially in men and women over 60. Finally, add 1 teaspoon of pure, unsweetened cocoa. Cocoa is rich in flavonoids and theobromine, substances that stimulate dopamine production and improve blood circulation. It contributes to pleasure, emotional well-being, and vascular health, acting as a true natural activator of the circulatory system. Mix well and drink, preferably in the evening, 30 to 60 minutes before bed, in a calm setting, without distractions, without screens, without haste. Allow your body to absorb this moment. It is solely yours, and it can be the beginning of a deeper, more conscious, and truer reconnection with yourself. This recipe doesn't replace anyone. It awakens what has been dormant and gently, with the help of science, reminds your body that pleasure remains a right at any age. Conclusion. You've just heard what no one dared to say for so long. that pleasure has no age, that the body remains a living territory, and that masturbation, far from being a taboo, can be a tool for reconnection, health, and dignity in older age. Throughout this video, you've understood that this simple gesture goes far beyond physical pleasure. It regulates sleep, calms the mind, stimulates circulation, awakens desire, restores self-esteem, brings you closer to your own body, and gives voice to what was silenced for years. And most importantly, you've learned that you don't need permission. You don't need justifications. The pleasure is yours, the body is yours, and the choice is also yours. If this video has helped you rethink your perception of aging and your own body, then subscribe to this channel to continue our journey toward a more conscious, healthy, and fulfilling life at any age. Now, share this video with someone who needs to hear this, with someone who was taught to be ashamed of themselves, with someone who deserves to reconnect with what they feel, with who they are, and with who they can still be. And if you've made it this far and felt this message resonate within you, write "Nature is a gift" in the comments. This phrase is a quiet sign that we are together on this journey, that we are breaking the silence, and that despite the passing years, there is still much to be lived, with pleasure, with truth, with courage.